Good evening and thank you for joining us. The province has lifted the restricted fire zone here in the northwest and across Ontario, thanks to the recent rain and cooler temperatures.
Thunder Bay Fire Rescue has followed suit, meaning outdoor burning is once again allowed within the city with a permit. Vasilios Bellos is following this story and joins us live in the studio with the details.
Thanks, Ryan. The fire ban was in effect for almost a month and a half due to the high forest fire hazard across Ontario. And while backyard fires and campfires are once again being allowed, fire officials are reminding the public there are still safe practices to follow. It's great news for anyone looking to spend their evenings socializing with friends outdoors, roasting marshmallows, and staying warm on colder summer nights.
It involves the entire fire regions of Ontario.
The Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry announced it would be ending its restricted fire zone across the province, effective 4 p.m. on Tuesday. The restriction was in effect since June 1st, based on the severe fire season Ontario has seen so far. Fire Information Officer Chris Marchand says the decision comes after recent favorable weather.
Some meaningful rainfall in the region, and we have seen a lot of really positive turnover in the fires that we have on the landscape. We've seen a high number be called out.
As the ban was lifted, the Northwest had 54 active fires, with 8 being considered not under control. Marchand says even though the restriction has been lifted, there are still safe practices to follow.
Try to keep your fire small, sheltered from the wind, built on soil or bare rock. Try not to exceed 1 meter in size, and keep it fairly distant from combustible materials.
We like to follow suit with the MNRF just to support them in terms of not getting anything started.
Thunder Bay Fire Rescue decided to drop its local fire ban following the lead of the ministry, though outdoor burning in the city still requires a permit. Acting Division Chief Kevin Anderson says while there's always some public frustration, the majority of people in the city respected the ban.
We had very few incidents, and most of it people weren't aware that there was a fire ban. You know, again, we try to get it out through social media, TV, radio, but still not everybody is aware. So again, they were small fires, they didn't know, so we asked them to put it out, made them aware of the fire ban, and it was, not too bad.
The public is being asked to keep an eye on the provincial forest fire map to know about any future bans or restrictions. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
2 teenage boys have been charged with arson by Anishinaabe-Aski police in connection with a fire that damaged the water treatment plant in Edmonton First Nation. The blaze broke out on July 5th in the remote community. The fire consumed an abandoned vehicle and several storage containers, and then spread to the water treatment plant. The NAP's crime unit launched an investigation, and 2 boys, aged 13 and 14, were arrested and charged with arson. The damage caused by the fire affected the plant's ability to produce and distribute clean water, prompting Edmonton leaders to declare a state of emergency. Around 200 people have been evacuated to Thunder Bay so far, while officials assess how to repair the water plant. Thousands of liters of boiled water have been shipped to the community, along with shower kits and washing stations, for the 1,000 residents that remain.
A kayaker needed rescuing last night after falling into the water on Lake Superior. Nipigon OPP received a call for service after nearly 5-foot waves hit the kayak on Black Bay, knocking the man into the water and separating him from the kayak. The man was left floating for close to 3 hours. Fortunately, he was wearing a GPS smart device. OPP Constable Matt Foster says without it, the rescue would have been nearly impossible.
When they were out on the water, there was severe waves happening at this time. And because of this GPS device, they were able to have a link sent to them. They opened the link and essentially had a breadcrumb trail right to where this individual was. It led them straight to him. If it weren't for his life jacket and this GPS unit, those 2 things saved this individual's life.
The kayaker was transported to hospital to assess his injuries, but he's since been released and is expected to recover. A tractor-trailer fire closed Highway 11 near Beardmore for several hours last night. The damage was limited to the trailer unit thanks to some quick thinking from the driver. OPP say they were alerted to the situation around 9:40 p.m. and sent officers from Nipigon and Greenstone to the scene. When they arrived, they found the trailer engulfed in flames, causing a large plume of smoke. Constable Matt Foster says damage from the fire was isolated to the trailer as the driver managed to save the cab of the vehicle.
When this driver had found out that a portion of his trailer was on fire, he was able to detach the truck from the trailer and move it away.
Firefighters from Nipigon and Beardmore responded and extinguished the fire. The highway reopened around 1:30 this morning.
Olivia Chow will be officially sworn in as Toronto's mayor tomorrow.
The deputy mayor, who's held the role for the last few months, reflected today on the challenges ahead for Chow. Natalie Johnson reports.
In her last day as acting mayor, Jennifer McKelvey is set to hand over the reins to Olivia Chow.
She has lots of ideas. I look forward to hearing those ideas. I look forward for us to finding ways that we can work together for this great city.
Chow has spent the last 2 weeks getting briefed on the state of the city, inheriting a very full agenda from a council that chugged along while the by-election campaign was underway.
She's going to hit the ground running. She has been moved into offices here in City Hall since early last week, and she's making a really interesting schedule of first meetings. A lot with the public service, and that's no surprise to me. That's sort of the way Olivia has always worked when she was a councillor.
The challenges will be significant. Top of mind for many, a recent spate of violence that in the last week saw a stabbing on the TTC, an innocent bystander killed by a stray bullet in Leslieville, and a double shooting in the morning rush hour downtown.
The most heartbreaking part of this job is the morning phone calls that you get from the fire chief saying that there's been a fatality, or the calls you get from the police chief saying that an innocent bystander in the city has been murdered. We need to continue to invest in safety.
The city's finances are in dire straits, and the council consensus is that Chow will need to lead talks to secure a new fiscal deal for Toronto.
We cannot run the city of Toronto on property taxes alone. That's a hard lesson we've come to learn during COVID, and I think our residents are learning that now. And I'm looking forward to working with the mayor to deal with that challenge.
Today's executive committee is assessing how to deal with last year's financial shortfall, $395 million for 2022. That staff say will require a major draw from the city's capital plan. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
A bill requiring children 12 and under to wear life jackets on boats is moving closer to becoming law in Ontario.
Currently, the province doesn't mandate that anyone wear life jackets. Mike Walker has the details.
So this is adult.
Whenever sailing with family, Angelo Sanfilippo says wearing life jackets are a must for young children on board.
Simply because they're not strong swimmers. Water is a silent killer, and it can happen very quickly.
But current regulations only require to have enough life jackets for every person on board. It's not mandatory to wear them.
Kind of thought it was the law, especially for kids.
That could soon change. A bill is currently before the province that will require children 12 and younger to wear a life jacket or personal flotation device when boating or while being towed behind a boat.
Every single state in the United States has some sort of mandatory life jacket legislation for children. Canada does not have any sort of mandatory life jacket legislation.
Progressive Conservative MPP Goldeep Gaumari tabled the bill this spring. It has so far passed 2 readings. Dubbed Joshua's Bill, it's in honor of Joshua Steinberg, who died in a boating accident in 2018 on the St. Lawrence River. He was not wearing a life jacket. His family has since been advocating for stricter laws. When passed, it will apply to boats 9 meters in length or smaller. Enforced by police, the fine for breaking the law will be $200.
Isn't really about enforcement, it's more about saving lives, because the stats show that the majority of drowning accidents happen because someone wasn't wearing a life jacket.
I think that's a good idea. It doesn't take long to go under, and it's too hard to get a life jacket on once you've got in the water.
The OPP reporting 29 boating fatalities in the province last year. Of those, only 2 people were wearing life jackets.
By passing this law and mandating that, it is going to go a long way to preventing drownings.
But the Life Saving Society of Ontario would like to see life jackets be made mandatory for everyone.
What we've seen in our most recent data is that 93% of people who drown while boating between the ages of 15 and 34 not wearing a life jacket. And it's high 80s across the board.
So the idea really right now is to focus on building those good habits at a young age.
The bill has support from all parties and is expected to pass a final vote when the legislature resumes in the fall, meaning it will become law by next summer. Mike Walker, CTV News.
Another important step toward the creation of a lithium processing facility here in Thunder Bay. Avalon Advanced Materials has signed a memorandum of understanding with Finland-based Metso Corporation, a global leader in critical mineral processing. The MOU was signed at the Canada House in the United Kingdom. Avalon announced last month it had purchased the former mill site off Lakeshore Drive with the hope of having a lithium processing facility up and running there in 4 years. The agreement allows Avalon to license Metso technology and for Metso to conduct testing and engineering work on Avalon's critical mineral projects.
Part of the capital
Avalon
structure.
President Zishan Syed calls it an ideal partnership.
And they're really moving their business model into nickel, cobalt, and of course, lithium. So for us, it's a fantastic partnership. These people have environmental stewardship as, number one as part of their corporate mandate. This is not just about building it quickly and building it in a cheap way. This is about doing it properly and making sure we address this.
The groups are hoping to reach a definitive agreement by September.
Vickers Park was a fun and crowded place this afternoon as the Teddy Bears picnic made its long-awaited return.
Children and families were invited to bring their favorite cuddly companions and participate in a wide variety of activities. Jessica Clement has the story.
Several thousand people, young and old, along with their teddy bears, came out to Vickers Park for an afternoon of free activities, crafts, and entertainment. The main stage featured a variety of performers and presenters, including science shows with Science North and music performed by Rodney Brown. Some of the highlights of the day included the Teddy Bear Parade, the Boo Boo Bear Station, where kids were able to bandage, sew, and repair their teddy bears.
Maybe you should wet this to make sure the area is clean.
And the face painting station. With so many activities to choose from, some kids didn't know where to start.
There's lots of fun stuff you can do, and there's lots of fun activities they make, and lots of fun stuff there could be here. My favorite thing here is the shops. Well, I might like the park.
The Teddy Bear Picnic has been a Thunder Bay tradition since the early 80s, but the city hasn't been able to host it since 2019. Event supervisor Luisa Costanzo says the picnic is a celebration of coming together as a community.
It's just so fun, the theme with the teddy bears, and there's entertainment, and there's food, and there's community groups. I just think, there's just so much to do. This event is always it's a community favorite, so it's good to be back and seeing everyone together. It's fantastic.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Well, it might have not been the warmest day out there for the Teddy Bear Picnic, but it still wasn't too bad.
Yeah, a little bit of average temperatures, if not a little bit below average. Right now, the average temperature is around 23.6, so we didn't quite make it there today, only reaching up to 20. And earlier in the day, it was a lot cooler, a low of 8. It was fairly sunny, especially earlier in the day. Those clouds started to roll in the later we got on, along with the wind picking up later in the day, gusting or up to 20 kilometers, gusting to 36 kilometers from the northwest. But all considering, still a little bit of sunshine in Thunder Bay, so not the worst conditions. Now, as we head out west, starting to get closer to that average temperature, but most of the day it was sitting around 16 and 17, especially out west. Fairly warm right now at 21 with clouds in the area. Really just seeing some clouds sticking around overnight in much of the region as we head to Atikokan and Upslo, closer to that average, both sitting at 22. Now, it's also fairly cool throughout the day as we head farther northwest in Red Lake, currently sitting at 21 along with Sioux Lookout. A little cooler in Pickle Lake with partly cloudy skies. They're also going to see a little bit of cloud coverage rolling in tonight, especially in the next couple hours. Now, Armstrong currently sitting at 20, also seeing some clouds along with Greenstone all the way down to 15. 14. That's about as high as it got throughout the day, sitting around 13. So again, fairly cool throughout the region, especially as we move farther east in Marathon at 18 and Sault Ste. Marie. They saw clear skies throughout the day, still a little bit cooler, currently sitting at 17. Now, as we look at tonight, temperatures are going to drop down a little bit, heading down to 11. The clouds that are starting to roll in that we saw over the past couple hours, expecting to mainly clear out. So we're going to see a lot of moonlight throughout the night. The wind is going to be picking up from the west, 7 to 20 kilometers an hour. And temperature, like I said, a little bit cooler, down to 11. Now, we are looking about, for the rest of the week, some warmer temperatures on the way, but also some rain, which will especially help with the forest fires. But I'll have those details after the break.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mitch. Well, after the break, we'll turn our attention to the NATO summit in Lithuania. Kind of a good news, bad news situation for Ukraine. NATO says it will be allowed into the military alliance, but has offered no timeline. We'll delve into that more thoroughly after the break. Don't go anywhere.
See everyone coming together on a clear path for Ukrainian accession to NATO when conditions allow.